Okay, it has come to my attention that I've been being far too nice lately, and I've figured it's about time I address that balance. So basically, YouTube kind of has this thing where if you're really negative about stuff and you generate controversy, it gets you all the clicks and all that kind of thing. So we're kind of exploring a little bit of that with this video. What I want to talk about, as the name of the video suggests, is album art that is genuinely awful, at least in my eyes, but from albums that are genuinely brilliant. So you've got this kind of weird, like, dichotomy thing going on with the music's amazing, but my god, you saw this thing on the shelves in the music store, you'd walk right past it. Don't get too bent out of shape on this one though, guys, because ultimately appreciation of an album art is very much a individual thing. One person's trash is another person's treasure, as they say. I happen to think these are all awful album arts, and I am going to just allow my venom to flow freely on these. But do bear in mind, as I say, the albums themselves, absolutely brilliant. So, let's get into it. We're going to go alphabetical here, and we're going to start with a pretty recent album, and that will be John Anderson and the band Geeks with True. I mean, do I really need to explain the inclusion of this album on the list? It's objectively a masterpiece in trolling, at the very least. Maybe John Anderson in his 80s has just gotten bored and decided to just mess with people by making one of the worst album arts of all time. And I don't really know quite where to start. Maybe it's the lens flare dotted around, which gives me sort of like circa early 2000s Photoshop vibes. Maybe it's the fact that John is holding this incredibly expensive microphone in such a "don't do that, John, it's expensive" kind of way. However you want to spin it, everything about this album art is monstrously awful. I can't even get over it. The idea of owning this on like vinyl and having a whole 12 inches of this artwork on display somewhere, it fills me with a kind of existential dread. Luckily though, the album is probably the best Yes album that's been released in like the last 40 years, so it's got that going for it at the very least. So if you can get past this experience of an album art, you're going to find one of the best modern progressive rock albums that's ever been released. Right, next up, I don't even know where to begin with this, so we'll just flash it up now. It's Sing to God by Cardiacs. It's like someone took the music video for Bohemian Rhapsody and decided, what if we just make everybody on sort of mind-altering chemicals and just get them really tripped out of their brains and just look at the camera, guys, it'll be fine. I don't know which of these four I trust the least. I just can't get over it. It's like, you walk past this at night in a haunted house, you're gonna have nightmares. It's kind of like eyes that follow you throughout the room, you know? If I had this on display behind me, I'd be worried I was gonna get, like, cursed by these faces or something like that. End of the day, though, Sing to God by Cardiacs is not only the best Cardiacs record, it's one of the best records ever made, as far as I'm concerned. There's nothing else quite like it out there. Just listen to Dog Like Sparky and tell me that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why the album art kind of looks a bit like that. Right, next up, we're going a bit more modern. We're going with Cheetos Magazine and Amazingus, or however you want to pronounce it. Look, do I really need to describe why this is on the list? It gives me the fear. I look at this album art and I feel uncomfortable. It makes me nervous. It's like, what is this guy? Is he a mosquito? Is it a man? Is it just an oblique face thing? I don't know. Whatever it is, the color scheme, the color grading on it, the whole, just like, those little weird tombstone teeth at the bottom, his pointy little mosquito nose, his terrifying eyes, the gigantic mouth. I don't even know what the hell is going on here. It freaks me out. I can't look at it for very long without feeling uncomfortable. But lucky for us, it really is one of the best modern progressive metal albums that's been released in the last, 10 years or so. The closing epic of Big Boy is genuinely brilliant, and the whole experience from start to finish is just a lot of fun. It's just a shame you've got to get past this to experience it. Okay, so we've got one of the heavy hitters coming up now. It's Dream Theater with 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. Now, I was torn on this because I wanted to include Dream Theater because, let's be honest, most of their album covers are pretty goddamn terrible. But for me, I kind of boiled down to 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence just because something about it really bothers me, and I was sat there trying to figure out why I don't like this album art, and then it struck me. Back in, like, the early 2000s, I had, like, a copy of Photoshop 7, and I used to make, like, forum signatures, you know, like, at the bottom of your posts on forums, you could, like, the little, like, 100 by 500, like, resolution thing. I mean, you could put whatever you wanted into there. And people use, like, grunge brushes to make things look really sort of dark and dank and rusty and all that sort of thing. And this album cover just reminds me of exactly that kind of process. It's like baby's first Photoshop using grunge brushes, and it just looks so amateurish, so boring. And again, with the text, it's like you've just discovered layer modes in Photoshop, and you put it to, like, multiply and reduce the opacity, and it just, something about it just really, really narks me. It feels like someone's just discovered Photoshop, whacked this together in like 20 minutes, called it a day, and sent it off to the printers. Like, I don't like it. It annoys me. It's something about this one objectively I find very irritating, and something about it just made me have to choose this one over all the other sort of very worthy entries that I could have chosen from Dream Theater's catalogue. So I couldn't have 2 Dream Theater albums, but I kind of sort of have in a weird sort of way with Liquid Tension Experiment 2. Much, much worse than the album art for the first Liquid Tension Experiment, just because you've got all the members of the band sort of like there, right there, all looking beautiful and young and healthy and everything like that. And then you've just used like the liquefy tool in Photoshop. Again, we're coming back to the early days of Photoshop with this thing. And they sort of like squish them into the middle, so like they're all blending into this, and it just looks so bad. It's like, what is the color grading on this as well? It just looks so stupid. Again, though, luckily for us, this is probably my favorite instrumental album of all time. When the Water Breaks, absolute genius, one of the greatest instrumental songs I've ever heard in my life. It's just a shame we have to look at this every time we pick it up off the shelf. Another pretty recent entry now, we're going with Meer and Wheels Within Wheels. Okay, sure. Maybe this one's a little bit of a controversial pick. I've never liked the album art for this one, and I was trying to figure out what it was that was really bothering me about it. And I think partly what really annoys me about this is the font choice, especially for the title of the album. It just looks stock, it doesn't fit with the aesthetic of the rest of the album. And I don't know, it just kind of sits at an off angle for me. Not to mention, I don't particularly like the central bit of like art as well. Again, it has that kind of early Photoshop feel to it, like somebody's just put a bunch of patterns down, slapped a load of filters on it, wiggled it around a little bit and called it a day. Compared to the artwork of their previous album of Playing House, which I thought was really, really nice, this feels like a massive step down. And it is such a shame because, like I say, one of the best albums of the past 5 years, easily. Brilliant record, but I just couldn't buy it on vinyl because I didn't like the look of the artwork. It annoys me. Okay, some people are going to question the inclusion of this one in a amazing albums list, but I don't care because I really like this album. It's Metallica's Load. This was one of the first Metallica albums I actually listened to. I got my start on the band, believe it or not, with Reload when I listened to Fuel for the first time, and it kind of set me on a path with that. So obviously I then picked up Load, and I think apart from like maybe a couple of songs here and there, I do think this is a really good hard rock album. No, it's not thrash, obviously, which would be a bit of a shock to the system for anybody who's been used to the band and then comes into this following things like Puppets, Lightning, all that sort of jazz. I mean, yeah, okay, the Black Album kind of slowed things down a bit anyway, but it was still kind of thrashy in places. Anyway, terrible, terrible album cover. If you know the story behind what this is, you'll know why this is gross. It's disgusting. It's like, why would you do that on an album cover? You disgusting people. Ew. Just big mega ew. If you don't know what it is, please go and look it up, but I'm not responsible for the loss of brain cells when you find out what the hell this is a picture of. I'm not going to discuss it on this because I don't want to get demonetized. So go and look it up. Disgusting album cover. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Still a pretty good album though. Now, this was my number 2 album, I believe, of last year, and it is Moor's self-titled. Now, look at these fresh-faced vibes, and don't they look so handsome? Don't they look so ready for the world, like they're going to sing you a beautiful love song? No, they're not. They're not going to sing you a beautiful love song. They're going to scream and yell and be angry with you and make huge, crushing riffs and massive soundscapes, but you wouldn't bloody know it from the album art, would you? Look, okay. I don't understand this album art. Like, if you are trying to sell your record to a particular demographic, to a particular fan base, that you want to give an idea to people as to what music is contained within the beautiful walls of your music, why would you do this? This doesn't look anything like what the album sounds like. And you can kind of do that to an ironic level to a certain degree, sure. But this just feels like flagrant false advertising. It's terrible. This is fine as a band photo. Include this on the liner notes. But for goodness sakes, Moore, for your second album, have something that actually represents your sound, please, because this is not good. This is not good. No bueno. No likey. Right, we're moving back in time now. It is Mike Oldfield and Hergest Ridge. Yeah, I just discovered 360-degree photography back in the 70s, and we did this, and it's awful. There is no way around it. This is just absolutely awful. I could have chosen Omadorn because it's not exactly much better. It's just Mike sort of like looking like introspectively into the distance. But at least it kind of has a timeless feel to it. This just looks cheap. It doesn't look good. It's aged horrendously. It's like when you see early 2000s CGI animated movies like, I don't know, the original Toy Story or Bug's Life or something like that, and they look absolutely horrendous by modern standards. And modern photography has kind of ruined this sort of thing. If you want an example of how this can look good, look at Weather Systems by Anathema. That looks cool. This does not. This is an example of technology being used, which kind of looked okay at the time, I'm sure, but it has aged horrendously, and I just think it looks so cheap and nasty. I do not like looking at this album cover. Why I'm glad that the remaster version exists, which has a much better album art on it, so maybe seek that one out instead of whatever this is. Okay, potentially a controversial pick here. We're going with Heritage by Opeth. Yeah, okay, let's take a step back for a second. This is nice album art, okay? It's beautiful. It's got great composition, the color grading's lovely, the actual artwork itself is great, but then you got everyone's heads in the tree and it just looks, ugh, I don't like it. It just looks creepy. I don't like it at all. It looks out of place, it looks weird, I don't like it at all. When I first noticed that it was the band members' heads in the trees, I was like, ugh, yeah. So I was like, jump back a little bit, and I was like, oh no, you just gone and ruined it. It's like you've got a beautiful masterpiece, and then you like just put smiley faces all over it, little smiley face stickers, and I was like, oh, why would you do that? Why would you do that to something which is already beautiful? Why would you ruin it? You went and ruined it, Opeth. Give me an alternate version of this without the heads, and I'll probably put it up there as some of the best album art of all time. As it stands, great piece of artwork which you just about ruined, and that is why it's on this list, because it could have been brilliant, but you ruined it. Still a pretty good album, though. Oh boy, this one's a fun one. It's Empire by Queensryche. Now you might be thinking to yourself, what's with the weird JPEG artifacting around the logo? Surely this is just a low quality copy of the actual record, you know? Why are you choosing this, Ian? You're clearly biased against Jeff Tate. Well, I don't like Jeff Tate that much, is very well known, but this is exactly what it looks like. If you go out into the wilds, you find this on CD, you will see this with all its artifacting in place right there on the CD. It's like somebody was just like, okay, so we're going to go into whatever version of Photoshop we've got back in the day. We're going to select all, we're going to crop, we're going to cut it out, we're going to paste it onto here. What's all that stuff around this? Who cares? Nobody will notice. This is fine. We'll call it artistic license or something. No. It looks awful. It looks terrible. I can't even begin to tell you how bad it looks. It's like, why would you do this? Why would you sign off on this? It's not good. The actual record itself is really, really solid. I mean, I think Queensryche had a really good run, like in the early days, up until about Empire, actually. And then they kind of sort of fell off the map in terms of like everything. And Jeff Tate's ego kind of got the better of him as time went on and kind of soiled the band a little bit for me in hindsight. But that being said, Empire's still great, but my God, I cannot bring myself to own it on physical media because it's just hideous. It's so ugly. Okay, this is actually one of my personal favourite albums ever. It is, let's see if I can get the name right, Living with Ghosts as Buildings with Teeth, I think, by Rishloo. Now, do I really need to tell you why I think this is a terrible piece of album artwork? I mean, look at it. Look at this guy. I mean, is he okay? Is he okay? Like, let's say, right, you know nothing about this band, okay? You know nothing about, like, Rishloo, but you're looking for some exciting new metal. So you're walking through the aisles of your local record store, you're looking for something that looks interesting, appealing, something that catches your eye as you're walking through, and you see this guy, and he's just looking at you, and he's like, oh. You know, that's the noise I imagine he's making. He's like, hello, please buy the record. And I'm like, oh no. No. And I would be swiftly moving along very, very quickly to get away from this horrifying face. You know, I don't like it. It gives me the freak out. I do not like the album art for this. But again, it's a shame because this is such a good album. It's so, so good. Again, another possible controversial pick. We're going with The Divine Wings of Tragedy by Symphony X. Easily one of the best albums Symphony X has ever made, up there with The Odyssey. I would say these two at the top spot, I reckon. But something about the artwork for this really just doesn't sit right with me. It's the beveling and the embossing of the text. It just looks so cheap and nasty. The extreme border they've got going on as well around this sort of like, I don't know what's going on with this artwork as well. I feel like it's meant to be like stained glass looking stuff. I mean, you got that in the background, whatever, but something about it just doesn't fit right with me. It feels cheap. It looks tacky. It's got that kind of pulled straight out of the 90s, but hasn't aged well look about it. I mean, obviously it was from the 90s, I think. Was it 90s? Early 2000s or 90s, whichever it was. It feels like it's been plucked out of its era and sort of thrown around a little bit, and it just doesn't age well. It doesn't look good. I don't like it. But again, it's objectively one of the best progressive metal albums ever made, so I can almost forgive it for that. Now, loath as I am to put the boot into one of my favourite artists ever, the Devin Townsend project with Epic Loud really just doesn't sit right with me. It just looks tacky. Here is the logo. It's boom, it's big, it's like got a glow layer around it and it's floating above the earth. And again, it's giving me student Photoshop vibes. Something about this just doesn't sit. It just feels, I don't know, I don't like it. It just doesn't sit with me. I don't get a vibe for the album based off of this. It feels like it's going to be generic Devin Townsend, for whatever that means. It doesn't give me any sense of personality about the album. It just looks like somebody whacked this up in a quick project on their lunch break, showed it to Devi, and he was like, yeah, fine, it's whatever, let's go with that. And I don't know. I always feel like something better could have been done with this album artwork. I mean, maybe the same theme could have been kept, but something about it, I don't know. Like I say, at the end of the day, you might love this album art, and that's fine. I really, really don't, but it's still a great record. So I can kind of forgive it a little bit. And at last we come to the final one, the 15 picks, and we all come down to this one. It's X Japan, Art of Life. Again, I don't really feel I need to explain much as to why I don't like this album artwork. I mean, just look at it. It's like, I don't even know what's going on. Who is this person? Why has she got a skull for half of her face? What's that got to do with the album? Who knows? Again, the font choice is terrible. It doesn't feel like it fits. Like someone just slapped it on at last minute and called it a day. And I don't know, it just feels like the kind of masking effect they've got going on with the skull and the woman's face, it doesn't blend very well. It just looks cheap. But again, I get it. It was the 90s. Technology wasn't as easy back then. Maybe this was a really hard thing to do. Maybe this is like a very cleverly composited photo. I don't know. However you want to spin it, it still doesn't look good. It still doesn't look good. I have this thing, like, about albums where it's like majority of just somebody's face on the front cover. They kind of creep me out a bit. It's why Steven Wilson kind of fell off for me a bit with like To the Bone and The Future Bites, both of which prominently featuring his face just staring at the camera. This is like, what are you doing? Something about those particular kind of album covers just doesn't sit right with me. And X Japan's Art of Life, for all of it being the best single track album ever made as far as I'm concerned, doesn't look good sitting on the shelf, which, you know, whatever, it's fine. It's fine. We'll let them off. So there we go. There are 15 of my picks for albums with terrible, terrible album art, which are still absolutely bloody brilliant records. What have I missed? What have I not included on this that you feel should have made this list? Please let me know by commenting down below. If you have watched the entire video, thank you so very much indeed for tuning in. Please do drop me a thumbs up if you like the video. Please do consider subscribing for more content. And please do consider buying a t-shirt if you want to help support the channel financially. But until next time, guys, as always, keep your rhyme signatures pretty odd.